So, welcome to our brand new lecture series called Places in News. This is lecture 2 of this lecture series. And in today's lecture series, we are going to discuss Kenya because Kenya was in news recently and has been in news for quite some time now. It's almost a week since protests have been happening in Kenya and the parliament building was set ablaze and people are protesting and they're asking their president to step down. So, it's been a world level news. Kenya has become a world level news, and that is why we are featuring Kenya in our Places in News series. So let's take a look at why Kenya was in news. Okay, so why was it in news? So basically, currently protests over an unpopular finance bill have led to the deaths of at least 5 people in Kenya. So there is this finance bill that was being passed in parliament which actually raised the level of taxes on the people. And it was highly unpopular bill. It was being passed in Kenya and which actually triggered widespread protests in Kenya. Now there are two major cities in Kenya. One is the capital city of Nairobi and the second largest city of Kenya is Mombasa, the port city of Mombasa. Both these cities are actually seeing widespread protests, big level protests. Okay. Now the protesters have demanded that their president, William Ruto, should step down. So William Ruto is the president of Kenya, and protesters are now demanding his resignation because they believe that he does not know what is good for his own people. Okay, so these widespread protests have been going on since 2 weeks now. So that is why Kenya was in news. Now, that's all you need to know as far as the news is concerned. But because Kenya featured in news, so Kenya's geographical information and other aspects of Kenya should be you should familiarize yourself with that. Okay, so first let's take a look at the geographical information for Kenya because it was in the news. So basically Kenya is a very beautiful country though. Kenya is officially known as Republic of Kenya, and the local language of Kenya, for example, our official language is English, but official language is also Hindi. Similarly, the official languages of Kenya are English and Swahili, their local language. So in Swahili, Kenya is called Jamhuri Kenya. It is a country in East Africa. Okay, Kenya is bordered by South Sudan to the northwest, Ethiopia to the north, Somalia to the east, Uganda to the west, Tanzania to the south, and Indian Ocean to the southeast. We'll take a look at the map of Kenya. Okay, but this is the geographical information about Kenya. So basically, it lies in East Africa and it is bordered by these countries. Okay, let's take a look at the map. All right. Now, Kenya's map, as you can see over here, on its eastern side lies the Indian Ocean, right? On its north lies Ethiopia. This is South Sudan. So its northwest border, it shares its northwest border from here, with South Sudan. From west, it's Uganda. On the southwestern side, it's Tanzania. And on the eastern side, it's Somalia. Okay? And this region, as you can see over here, this region is East Africa. This particular portion, as you can see, this is known as Horn of Africa. So it's quite near to Horn of Africa. Okay, so this is the geographical location or geographical information with respect to Kenya that you need to familiarize yourself with. Now, its major city, the biggest city and the capital city is Nairobi, but its second largest city, which lies somewhere over here, it's the port city of Mombasa. So Mombasa is its second largest city. It is its port city, and Mombasa is the oldest city, older than even Nairobi, oldest city of Kenya. So which is the oldest city of Kenya? Well, that's Mombasa. Which is the largest city of Kenya? Nairobi. Which is the capital city of Kenya? Nairobi. All right. Now let's know a bit more about Kenya. Let's talk a bit more about its basic information. It's facts you need to familiarize yourself with. So Kenya, as far as natural beauty is concerned, Kenya is a very beautiful country, and that is why it attracts a lot of tourists all over the world, from all over the world. It encompasses savannas, which are the tropical grasslands, lakelands, Great Rift Valley, mountains, highlands, plus people who are fond of wildlife. They want to see African lions, elephants, rhinos. Well, they visit Kenya because there are various national parks in Kenya that provide safari. Safari services, desert safari and all that. Okay. Now Kenya's official languages are Swahili and English. English, why? Because once it was a colony of the British, and that is why English is the official language, but their local language is Swahili. Though official languages are Swahili and English, but Kenya has given the status of national language to only Swahili. Okay, so if someone asks you which is the national language of Kenya, Swahili. Official language is Swahili plus English. Okay, Kenya was once a colony of the British but got its independence on 12th December 1963. More than 85% of Kenya's population is of Christian faith, 8 to 9% Muslim faith, and so on and so forth. Okay, but majority Kenyans are Christians. Okay, now let's take a look at what is Kenya famous for. Okay, first, many tourists visit Kenya to see this Masai Mara National Park or Masai Mara Reserve. It is a wildlife reserve. It is the prominent thing Kenya is famous for, which is national reserve and is most visited destination by tourists. It offers safari services as well. People come to Masai Mara to see wildlife. Okay, plus wildebeest, big migration of wildebeest also happens in Masai Mara, so it is a very famous thing, Masai Mara. Then they have Amboseli National Park. This Amboseli National Park actually provides a beautiful view of Mount Kilimanjaro. Now Mount Kilimanjaro though actually lies in Tanzania. Okay, Tanzania, but you can see Mount Kilimanjaro from Amboseli National Park, which is in Kenya. Okay, this is Amboseli National Park. This is Mount Kilimanjaro, and this mountain actually lies in Tanzania. But this park where you can see these giraffes, it's actually in Kenya, and this is Amboseli National Park. All right. Well, let me tell you this also. Mount Kilimanjaro is the highest mountain of the entire African continent. It is the highest mountain in Africa. Okay. Kenya is also famous for home to the Big Five. Big Five means big animals. Okay. African elephants, leopards, rhinos, Cape buffalo, and lions. So people visit Masai Mara, Amboseli National Park to watch these big beasts. Okay. It is the only country that has all the Big Five in their national parks. Kenya is also famous for its coffee. The largest exporter of coffee in the world is Colombia, but the second largest exporter of coffee is Kenya. So Kenya is world famous for its coffee as well. All right, and that's about it. That's all you need to know about Kenya. And with that, we conclude today's lecture. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And make sure whenever this lecture comes out, you watch this lecture, because if you make this lecture a habit of yours, right? If you make this lecture a habit of yours, well, you'll cover all the important places in news. And if you make it your habit for the entire 1 year or till your exams, well, you'll cover all the important news items that feature in current affairs. And you will secure your prelims examination next year or next to next year, whenever you're planning to give your exam. All right? Okay, then. I'll sign off now. I'll take your leave. Thank you so much, everyone. And I'll see you next time with another place in news. Thank you.